Hello and welcome into Pat's Latest. I'm your host, Mike Gambardella, and the Patriots already start the process of trimming down their roster. We get an inside look at the war room decisions for New England, and we take a look at which players will actually be on the field and on the roster for Drake May at the skill position. Before we get into everything, make sure you go down and subscribe for our channel. Get into the comments and let us know what you think about the current roster moves for the Patriots and how those skill positions should shake out. And make sure you go back and give us a listen for all of our previous episodes as well. We start today looking over at those roster cuts and a few surprising ones at that. The 6 different players cut by the New England Patriots as they are forced to get their roster down from 96 to 90. And one of those cuts actually includes a player just drafted 2 years ago in the 4th round. We start with that player, offensive lineman Jake Andrews, who unfortunately, due to injuries, was just never able to stay on the field enough for the Patriots to make an impact. Additionally, names like defensive lineman Marcus Harris, who was on the practice squad, wide receiver Jaquay Jackson, who spent the entire year on the IR last year, linebacker Titus Leo, safety Mark Perry, and tight end Giovanni Ricci, who actually just signed with the Patriots back in February to a futures contract, all heard their names cut by the team on Monday. The Patriots needing to make this move to get down to 90 players before they can proceed with any operational functions. And again, this was due to adding nearly double digit undrafted free agents to the mix. And again, can carry that roster at 90 throughout training camp and the off season here until we get to the regular season and need to get down to that 53-man roster. So almost half of these players will not end up being there on week one, but again, needing to get down with those 6 players cut, and not overly surprising to see many guys that didn't make a huge impact and were not able to make a large impact to Mike Vrabel in just a short amount of time. Again, the Patriots will be looking to fully reconstruct their identity and this team. They've already done that by potentially having half of their starters be new from last season, as we addressed in yesterday's episode, talking about 11 new starters and about offense and defense combined. A lot can change now from end of April to when we get towards the actual start of the season at the start of September. But again, unfortunately, these 6 players will not be on the roster, and it will be interesting to see what this roster actually ends up looking like by the time we get to cut down time. But we actually want to start at how these roster decisions are made and what the scene is behind the scene. And actually, we get a report from the War Room on draft day that Elliott Wolf, Mike Vrabel, and company were actually undecided on their second round pick, and that there was a quote unquote healthy debate around who the Patriots actually should select. Now, we know that at number 38, they actually did take Trevion Henderson, the standout running back from Ohio State. But right before that pick, apparently they were pretty much split down the middle about which player they should draft. Henderson being one on one side, and reportedly the other one was a player that was actually taken by the Miami Dolphins the pick prior, Arizona standout guard Jonah Savaiinaea. Now, again, this decision was taken away from the Patriots and kind of made for them, having to choose between those 2 players and going and addressing, again, double dipping on that offensive line at guard. And I think this actually is very telling because not only do the Patriots kind of have this decision taken away from them, and I think a lot of the media reports are around the decision making process and the healthy debate and going back and forth. To me, the true decision and talking point here is that you didn't take a guard at 2, which you were very close to doing, decided to take a running back, and I think they were going to take a running back in this draft one way or another. It was either you're going to get a top running back, which Trevion Henderson could have been in the first round in several mock drafts, and I think if they did not take one at the top of the second round, you were going to slide pretty far down before you'd actually take one. But the Patriots didn't get the guard in the second round and then did not address the position at all. So it actually speaks volumes to the scouting that they did, that they saw, okay, there's a top position pool at the guard spot, very top loaded, and then nothing behind it that they said or evaluated that was better than Cole Strange, Layden Robinson, and potentially CD Sow as well. Or if there actually could be some discussions, and now it's unfounded at this point, that Jared Wilson, the center draft pick from Georgia, could potentially play some guard. I'm seeing him pop up on some depth charts at that position. I think long term he absolutely is your center, but if he proves to be a standout athlete and an impact player up front, there can be a dialogue if he could be in that mix. To me, I think this is Cole Strange's position to win. He's going to have every opportunity to prove he's healthy, go out and do that. And Layden Robinson will hopefully give him everything he can handle as well. And at the end of the day, hopefully, it is those two players battling it out. And either way it goes, you'll hopefully feel happy about how that breaks out. But again, to the point that it starts for many of the media members talking about, this is a different front office, this is a different coaching staff, and this is a different roster construction. There is a reason why the Patriots are being lauded for essentially having one of, if not the best draft in the NFL this past year, or this past Thursday, Saturday, and Friday as well. But looking at it overall, this is not something that the Patriots and Patriot fans are used to. Usually it's we're taking flyers, you're taking deep cuts, you're trying to fit people that fit, quote unquote, the Patriot way. This is a new Patriots team, and I think a lot of excitement can go with that, a lot of new culture and new expectations that hopefully the Patriots at the end of it will actually be in the playoff mix. We also talk about this backfield, and with Travion Henderson added to the mix, my initial thought was this is the perfect 1B to Ramondre Stevenson's 1A. The problem is that Travion Henderson is not a third or fourth round pick. This is a player that was expected to potentially go in the first round, that went at the top of the second, and will be very involved from the jump. Ramondre Stevenson obviously had his fumbling issues last year, and if that is something that continues, you could quickly see that 1A and 1B flip. Antonio Gibson could potentially be in the mix as well. And let's not even get started on UC Davis undrafted signing Lane Larison, who we discussed on yesterday's episode, that could potentially be the new Danny Woodhead. I say Danny Woodhead or Rex Burkhead. There are portions of the Twitterverse that are saying the next Christian McCaffrey. Please take that with a giant grain of salt. But there are pathways forward for undrafted signing Lan Larison to make this team. But I think how this backfield starts to split out will be a interesting point of discussion, especially through training camp and into preseason. Again, Ramondre Stevenson has the contract and the pedigree to be the 1A here. And again, Mike Vrabel was quick to say that all the fumbling issues were not even his fault, that a lot of that was secondary hits coming from the line not even doing their job. He was quickly throw the line under the bus, not his running back. So again, I think that's where it starts. I think if Ramondre has those issues, his spot could be in trouble. But again, I think there are at least three running backs on this roster, if not potentially four, that could easily make an impact for the Patriots. I think Travion Henderson is going to fly under the radar a little bit and then start to come up and really start to make this a 1-1 situation, and potentially how he kind of holds up. You want to find smart ways to get him touches, and that's exactly what Josh McDaniels will do. But one point that I think will absolutely keep him on the field more than you might expect for a rookie running back actually came from a part that was backed up and confirmed by Colts GM Chris Ballard as he was doing his post-game or post-draft press conference with head coach Shane Steichen. It was actually asked about Travion Henderson, got to talking about it, and was actually quoted as saying, "It might have been the best pass protection back I've seen come out of college. Not out of this draft, out of college." And if Travion Henderson is able to be a pass protecting back, that means he's guaranteed a spot on third downs off the jump. let alone being a safety valve for Drake May, and then sprinkling in some, runs on first and second down as well. There's a path forward where this isn't, the Jahmyr Gibbs comparison that we've seen the past couple days with the Detroit Lions. This is a running back that could potentially take over a backfield. Now, we are a very long ways away from that, but the fact that we're already talking about a two-headed, three-headed monster for the New England Patriots, I think just shows how far this team has come in a short amount of time. Finally, today, we look at the wide receiver position, and something that was bare bones. There was not a ton, obviously not a 1,000-yard receiver, who can rack up 50 catches in this offense. The Patriots now have 12 receivers on its roster. 90 of its players are at the wide receiver position. Traditionally, teams carry 6 wide receivers, so half of those players will likely be cut by the start of week 1. Looking at it overall, I think Jeremiah Webb, Demir Blankmumi, and John Giles, who are all undrafted signings, will probably not be in the mix, and that takes you down to 9 right up front. Looking at those top 5, 6 players that probably will have a spot, I think Stephon Diggs obviously is your number one. Mac Hollins, who signed as a free agent, especially as a culture guy, has his spot, as does Pop Douglas, and Williams, who you just drafted in the 3rd round. The other 2 are up for debate. What Jalen Polk and Javon Baker have in front of them is a tough road, yet an opportunity. They need to show out for this coaching staff left and right and show that they have the talent and they just were not either put in the right position to succeed or had just too much thrown at them in year 1. So that is either 1 or 2 spots that are either secured or open. That means that it's really 5 players currently fighting for 2 spots. Polk and Baker we've addressed. The 2 on the veteran side of that coin, one is Kendrick Bourne. And again, I think a tough spot because Kendrick has been the commiserate teammate, has been the guy on social media, in the locker room, already seems to have a good rapport with Stephon Diggs as well. But unfortunately, I think just has not been that type of impact player since the injuries, coming back from the knee and everything else. And I think, unfortunately, the deck is too far stacked against him to be able to make enough of an impact to secure his roster spot. Additionally, Kayshon Boutte has been a player that has played above his 6th-round draft status. And I think someone like Isaiah Bond, who is a current undrafted free agent, a guy prior to his off-field troubles, was being talked about as a potential 2nd-rounder. Kayshon Boutte had kind of that same path where he was considered to be a 2nd or 3rd rounder and slides all the way back. At times looked like the Patriots' number 1 wide receiver last year, but I think with this new coaching staff, the deck could be stacked against him. And there's a reason why Adam Schefter last week before the draft was talking about a potential trade candidate. I think if the Patriots can see a return on their investment for even a 5th-round pick, Kayshon Boutte could be on the way out and opening up a spot at wide receiver for the Patriots. One to keep an eye on for me is undrafted free agent from Eastern Washington, and following what Cooper Kupp really did, is Efton Chisholm. And this is a guy, again, the tape, the combine, the drills, everything looks standout. The twitchiness, the shiftiness, ability to get open. And again, this is a deep dive for me. If the season started right now, he's not on that side of making the team, but one to keep an eye on moving forward. For me, I think he even has a leg up over Bourne and Boutte right now as just where his potential ceiling could be. And if he's able to win over the coaching staff, could find a way to get in over Baker, who's a 4th-rounder last year, or Polk, who I know has the 2nd-round pedigree. But again, he needs to show that he has the ability to haul in contested catches up front. That was his biggest problem area last year. He saw some volume, not enough, obviously, but was not able to make an impact with even the few amount of balls that he did see. A lot to play out and a lot of time, to be perfectly honest, as we are at the end of April here. But again, with 90 players on your roster and 53 staring you in the face pretty much for the end of August, it's fair to ask what this positional group will shake out as. And with 12 players there and half likely coming off, it will be interesting to see what the relationships look like with Drake May as off-season training, training camp, and everything else gets underway. That'll do it for us on this episode of Pat's Latest. Make sure you get in the comments. Let us know what you think about especially the wide receiver position and which one could surprise and which one could be the surprise cut. Also, make sure you do go down and subscribe for our channel. Go back and check out our older episodes after this one. And make sure you give us a like if you like what you hear. We'll continue to have everything for you on your Patriots throughout the offseason program. Fight on, Foxborough.